What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live stream session with your boy Phrankleen. If you're watching this as a playback, thank you for stopping by. Let's see who's online. Let's see who's online. So this is story time. Story time is basically an episode where people send me their stories. What's going on? If you can see me, you can hear me, hit the like button. What's up, people? What's up? What's up? How are you? Yeah, as I was saying, story time is basically an episode, the episode where people send me their stories to foodchannel1960 at gmail.com. And if I like the story, if it resonates with me, I can convert it to a live stream session or a pre-recorded, content like this one. So if you can see me, you can hear me. If you want to send me your stories, please send it to foodchannel1960 at gmail.com. Look into the description below. Somebody's saying, Femi, I like this hoodie. Yeah, you can buy it to support the channel. If you look beneath the video, there's a link to buy my merch. It comes in different colors, man, and they're nice. Phrankleen, you can buy it and it'll get posted to you. You can support my channel. You can support my channel via #Phrankleen Cash App, via PayPal. I think the link is in the description, or you can join my Patreon or my channel membership. All right. So this story came from a brother that watches my channel, and then he emailed me and said, Phrankleen, I'd like you to talk about my story on your channel with your viewers and stuff like that. Hopefully other people can. Somebody said, we haven't heard anything about the podcast. What do you mean we haven't heard anything about the podcast? The podcast is live. Okay. It's basically last week it had over 200 listeners. Thank you for the support. I am going to have more episodes. I'm actually going to record an episode tonight. So I'm going to roll that out tomorrow, the course of the coming week, and more episodes. Okay, so Johnny, anchor.fm/Phrankleen. Or if you've got Spotify on your phone, just type in the Phrankleen podcast, the Phrankleen podcast, like this, Phrankleen, and then it will bring up my podcast. Okay, you can listen on Spotify. Right. So I hope everyone is out, having a great weekend. You're fine. You're doing good. Well, the weekend is coming to an end, starting a brand new week. So like I was saying, this brother has been on my neck and said, Phrankleen, I want you to bang out. Yes, it's ready for a replay. You can go on there and listen to the podcast anytime. But I've only got a trailer in there right now, so I'm going to have more, more content coming out. So this brother, basically, he lives here in the UK, and he's been here. It's the, typical immigrant stuff. But the benefit of the story, apart from the fact that he's been on my neck, he wants me to share the story, is so that we can all hopefully, learn from it, and you can share with your friends and all families as you deem fit. Anyway, so this brother has lived here for many years, and he came here as a student. So eventually he was able to blend in into the society. And then, over the years, the classic immigrant story, he struggled to, blend in, find his footings and all that stuff, which he did. Then met his wife, the usual stuff. So he said there's been a lot of pressure on him, monetarily, in terms of, finance over the years. He's always bang out money monthly to families. He was basically the first person to come to Britain, right, from his family. And is it mounted a lot of pressure on him monetarily, depleted his funds. He struggled over the years to be able to save, and I've always talked about this, okay, and I'll keep on saying this. My argument is not that it's not or never to help people, but never help at your own detriment. So one of the fundamental problems that a lot of diasporans face is you have this issue of black tax, pressure, and particularly emotional blackmail if you've got a truckload of family members back home. And the reality of the life in the West is you have your monthly outgoings, and most people, for the most part, most people earn with your outgoings. Your disposable income is quite minute, and it's always like a vicious cycle in terms of being able to put things aside, being able to execute your own personal life goals, right? So the long and short of what I've been banging on about. So when these stories come up, I like to use my voice and use this platform to try to roll them out, because I know there's a lot of smart people in here that will, because a lot of these, some of these family members, it could be parents, it could be siblings, they are in fact absolutely narcissistic, right? They have, for most part, based on, I mean, I've been doing this for a minute now, based on the stories, if you look through the catalog of my videos and stuff, what I personally concluded is we have a lot of narcissistic parents, narcissistic siblings, narcissistic, extended family members, and because it's very common in our society, yeah, they force a lot of these man-made, very toxic doctrines into your brain from when you are young. So even when you travel thousands of miles away from them, you're living in the West, they can still psychologically control you with emotional blackmail and make you feel as though you're not, living a proper life, or your decisions are in fact, detrimental to your future, or there's some kind of spiritual repercussion for saying no, which is just loads of nonsense. Most of the time, they try to condition you so that you can get to do their will. Now, as I have been saying, a lot of diasporans, regardless of if you're Nigerian or Ghanaian or Kenyan, it's a similar template of control. Now, what you find with so many people is you have these weight over your shoulder, whereby you're catering to mom, dad, even sometimes older siblings, and people that are grown men that should be able to find their own way in life. But because you live abroad, they have zero regard for your own actual welfare. Are you really able to sustain yourself? Talk less of giving them money back home. So, and a lot of people I've found, look, man, I've gotten emails from people. I think the oldest person that I've actually met physically on the high street here in the UK that watches my channel was a gentleman who is in fact 61. Can you imagine a 61-year-old man who is clearly a grandfather of some sort is still basically being controlled by elderly parents and the whole family complexity back home? And that man told me, with his gray hair, basically, told me that he is, in effect, struggling over the years, has been in debt, has been struggling with bank loans, and he's trying to bring some family members here. Some of the attempts failed, and he has basically struggled and struggled to pay back, debts and credit card loans, and all because he's catering for people back home. And over here, he ended up losing his marriage because the wife left him for, well, separate reasons, but at the evening part of his life, in the evening part of his life at 61, he hasn't got much to show for it because he's broke. Do you know what I mean? So he could have, this is why I keep on emphasizing on, don't take on truckload of responsibility in the name of because you're in the West. To me, one word, I think it's just foolishness, because it makes no sense. Because what it does is, it inflicts you, it immerses you in a cycle of poverty that you may not be able to remove yourself from, if that makes sense. Now, these brother's story, as I was saying, I digressed and I had to waffle on a bit. So over the years, he has been sending money, supporting his parents or whatever family back home. And as things progressed, you have life goals. He then decided that, I've got to cut back. The outgoings are too much. He's got 3 children in this country. And he said at some point when they had the 3rd child, wife had medical complications and all that stuff. And thank you, Alonge baby. Don't forget to hit the like button. So wife had medical complications, which meant she had to, due to the medical complications, she had to come off work. It put entirely all the pressure on him monetarily to support his family. And she had to be at home. She had C-section, having the 3rd child. And for a long time, because of a lot of stuff that I don't want to go into, she had to be at home, which is understandable because she had to recover. She couldn't just go back to work. They have young children. And he said that was when his eyes opened. He said the family back home, his parents particularly, showed a blatant disregard to his challenges, and they were always constantly asking him for money and all that stuff. So he had it up to here. And when he was struggling, he said, Phrankleen, sometimes after paying my bills, all the outgoings, the council tax, the this, the rent and all that, the car insurance, he said, sometimes in the calendar month, you have to buy your foodstuff every week. He said, sometimes I can barely set aside 200 or 300 pounds for myself. Do you see what I'm saying? And this is the reality for a lot of people. So imagine, even if you're able to save 300 pounds, I use that as an example, right? Imagine 300 pounds. It's going to take you 10 months to be able to set aside 3,000 pounds. And that's if you haven't got children related, if you've got young children, you know what I'm saying. Children related emergencies, you're going to have things come up that you didn't plan for that will more than likely, wipe you clean or take that money from you. So that's why a lot of people are unable to chase their dreams, their goals, and, move up the ladder in life. And then you just get caught up in a rat race. Anyways, and he said, monthly, he was shelling out close to 700 pounds a month. Wow. For parents, and then for some of his siblings, he was paying. His brother got this girl pregnant, and she moved in with his brother in the parents' house. So the lady wasn't doing much. He was giving them monthly allowance. He was sending their daughter, his brother's daughter, to school, paying the school fees. And then before you know, within the 2 shakes of a dog's tail, the brother landed a 2nd child. And then through emotional blackmail, he ended up paying for the 2nd child as well. I'm telling you, man, I couldn't make up this story. This is what some people, some diasporans are dealing with. The cobweb of complexity. And imagine you have a brother, a fully grown man. He sat somewhere in Africa. You have to buy him a car from here. You ship it to him. He gets some random girl pregnant. They move into your elderly parents' home. Because you live abroad, you are having to fund their lifestyle by sending them monthly allowance. And your parents are in fact a party to this, because they are mounting pressure and saying, oh, there you go, you're sat abroad. Are you going to turn blind eyes to your brother? Blah, 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 and this and this and this. And then you are forced to, basically run yourself to the ground by sending a ton of money to those people on a monthly basis, whilst they wait at the end of the month for you to send the bank alerts, and then they just leave off your hard-earned money. Your children are here in the UK. They can barely survive in 3 square meals, and you haven't got any savings. You get the gist, right? Anyways, this brother said eventually he was shelling out that ton of money. So when he had enough, this led to quite a lot of friction within his marriage. Finance plays a major role, right? So this led to arguments back and forth, between him and his wife and all that stuff. So he said eventually he found the courage after watching some of Frankleen's videos. It's actually it was a proud moment when I was reading that email. I had a big smile on my face because I've always said one thing: if I'm able to affect the thought process of at least one person positively, I would have done an amazing job by using my platform. Does that make sense? So the brother said eventually it was a major psychological battle for him. He summoned the courage and he was able to say to his parents that, Dad and Mom, I can't carry on sending you about 700, 750, sometimes £800 monthly. That's insane. That's a lot of money on a monthly basis for someone, who is earning just reasonably in a managerial position, within an organization. I'm not going to say which one. And he's got children, right? So when he broke away from that vicious cycle, right, he then started putting money aside. And then he said a friend helped him to start some little business on the side as well, like a second stream of income, because his wife was bedbound due to medical complications, which is okay. The way forward for us, I always say, is financial freedom. Having multiple streams of income is great, because if one fluctuates or kind of lets you down, you have another one, and then you have another one that would help balance out, and then you can have peace of mind. Does that make sense? So the long and short was, eventually the second side hustle, this new side hustle was doing well, was able to put money aside, and then he decided to build a property back home, which was going to be for like commercial use, build and let, rent out or something like that, which is a great investment, right? Again, these brother made a huge blunder. So the blunder was, he when he was going to commence the project and all that, he ran his mouth like a bathroom tap. He told his pops and the mom, all right? So the news spread fast. The siblings heard. Just by hearing, he told me, he said, Franklin, the ground hadn't even been broken yet for a foundation. I haven't even laid one block, right? The psychological warfare had started, all right? The mudslinging and then emotional, the blackmail and all that, because they heard he was going to build just by hearing. Now, watch this. So he said he had gone home, I think for a cousin's wedding or something. The father. Now, hear this. Did you pay attention to the start of the story when I said his dad lives in a home that he had built for himself years ago, right? When the dad was younger. So the dad has one home. Did you hear me when I said that? He said, unbeknown to him, the father then called like a family gathering, just quite impromptu. He had gone to Nigeria for a cousin's wedding. So his father then beckoned and said, oh, I want to have a family meeting. It's about you. I need you to sit down. So he kind of had his suspicions. He called his wife here, and the wife just said, do be careful. Don't get confrontational, blah, 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 blah. So because he wasn't staying at home, he was staying with a friend in a friend's apartment. Normally, he would stay with his parents, but he had removed himself, which was clever. So the dad demanded aggressively a family meeting, all because he had cut the money off. He cut the money off from £800 monthly to £200 a month. So that rattled them. They were ungrateful. They were angry because, of course, there was a long list of stakeholders who were dependent on his monthly outgoings. And to cut the money down from £800 a month to £200 a month, all the people that were lined up, his siblings, that were equally benefiting from that money, everyone's been cut out of the picture, their reckless lifestyles had suddenly come to a halt, which was off the back of this brother, right? So his wife then advised him that if you feel uncomfortable, take your friend with you, to the meeting. So he told his pops that, Dad, I'm going to bring such and such with me to the meeting. So the dad caught fire. It's a family meeting. It's private. I don't want your friend in my house. So he told his dad, he goes, Dad, I want to come to the meeting. I just want my friend to be there. That's all. So what are you trying to say? Are you suggesting that we may want to take your life and stuff? And dude was like, whoa, I didn't accuse you of such. Like, why would you even say that? Anyway, that sort of, they found a reason to just complain and blew things out of proportion. And then, anyway, so eventually he went with his friend. He didn't back down. They got to the meeting and his friend just sat, he said his friend just sat like in the back of the room. And then his brothers came in, looking disgruntled. He said hello to them. They didn't respond. Some uncles were there shaking their legs and looking infuriated and fuming. And so the long and short, the meeting started. And if you can hear me, you can see me, please smash the like button, right? So the meeting started, and then the dad just cut the chase and said, you said you were going to build the house. It is your duty to build the first house. Just hear this bull crap. It is your duty to build the first house that you are ever going to build. For us, your father and mother, before you can then, any subsequent one, if you like, you can build 10 or 20, but if you want to live the rest of your days as a prosperous person, as living in good health and living a good life or whatnot, you must, and I am commanding you as your father, that the property must be built for us. And unless we then give you our blessing, then can you be. Now that's the height of I think this is one of the craziest I've received in terms of emotional blackmail. So the brother said, of course, that pretty much just made him lose his temperament. And he broke out, the whole meeting broke out into major argument. Like, what? I have to build my property for you first. So he said, he asked his dad that, what's wrong with the house that you built for yourself, that you're living in right now? And the father said, because, and now watch this. He said they brought up the issue because years ago when he was going abroad, they had borrowed some money from some cooperative society that they were part of to buy his flight ticket and help process his visa, right? But dude said, Phrankleen, let it be on record that when I got to the UK, the first set of jobs that I had were cleaning jobs and washing toilets and working as a porter in a kitchen. And I paid back every single penny of the monies borrowed by my parents. Do you see what I'm saying? He said, Phrankleen, I paid back every single naira they had borrowed. So, and this was some substantive amount of years ago when the brother came here. That's your own parents. So they're still basically sort of, weaponizing that and saying, oh, all those years ago. And he said, wait, over time, I paid her off. And there is evidence. Hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. So it was, the situation was exacerbated. It was a major cycle of arguments and all that stuff. And the parents repeatedly threatened him that if he doesn't do as, and I know this too well, unfortunately, this is a very common narcissistic and toxic behavior that you will find amongst some families back home, whereby they want to control and hijack your life and impose and insist that you do precisely as you were told by them. So it broke into a major argument, and then the father said, if he doesn't do exactly that, and he carries on to build a house, he said in the course of the meeting, the father then asked him that, where is your land? The land that you bought, where is the land located? And he said, that's none of your business. Then the older brothers, two of them, threatened him with physical assaults. They were going to beat him up, but his friend, it became really, really toxic. And he then said his friend dragged him out and just said to leave it. So he left the place. He was furious. He said he was so upset that night in the hotel, in friend's apartment. He was so angry that he was crying, that how could, your own parents do this to you? But there are no surprises here, though. Blunder, major blunder. You've already seen these people for who they are. You then run your mouth like a bathroom tap. Remember, you told them that you were about to start building, but you've already seen them for who they are, though. Does that make sense? You then run your mouth like a bathroom tap to say you want to start building. What did you expect? These are just some of the common sense approach that a lot of people lack, because why? You are governed by sentiments. Imagine your own father and mother saying they live in their own house that they had built from back in the 80s. And this dude said, Phrankleen, I was the one that sent money, my hard-earned money from the UK. At some point, I had renovated that house on 2 occasions, bought them a generator, repainted the house twice, yet they put him down as a never-to-do-well type, all because he cut down from £800 a month to £200 a month. So he got angry. He was very emotional. So he told his wife. Wife was pleading, and he said in less than 3 weeks, the rumor that spread across the family that even sort of completely blew the case out of proportion was they started spreading lies that his wife is basically the one in the background that's controlling affairs and desperately preventing him from helping his family members. Now that's very common. Sorry, let me read this. Did this guy have some help from his dad to come over? What was the agreement? Unless he entered an agreement with his dad, he's free to build his own house before his dad. Any agreement? Nah, he didn't have any agreements. All right? When, just like many people, when he was coming abroad, mom and dad borrowed money to process his visa application at the time from some cooperative gathering or group that they belonged to. Part of the money they borrowed was also to buy his flight ticket to the UK. Big deal. And the guy said when he landed here years ago in his uncle's house, the first set of jobs that he took on in this country was a couple of cleaning jobs and working as a kitchen porter in a restaurant. He said he had paid back all of those monies, every single naira he had paid back. And he's got evidences of doing so. Yeah. But he said over the years, his older siblings, he's the third born, and there's 5 of them. So he's the third born. So the first 2 and the last 2 are all dependent on him, inclusive of the parents. This is the story of a lot of diasporans. Are you with me now? Imagine you're you're five of you, right? From the same parents. You manage to travel abroad. You then have to shoulder the financial responsibility for 4 siblings. So Phrankleen, I wish we can call in. All these stories you're sharing is so real. Don't worry. In the course of the week, you'll get a chance to call into the show. I'm streaming. I'm unable to let you call in tonight, but I promise you there are more stories coming this week. All right. So all I'm saying is, you've got to learn to say no. And I'm telling you, man, I get more and more emails from people. Oh, Phrankleen, you are saying the truth. Phrankleen, your video did blah, 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 blah to me. Phrankleen, I appreciate your thought process. I appreciate your mindset. Oh, well and good. Go ahead and implement the things that I've been talking about. You see a 40-year-old grown man, they cannot say no. I'm not asking you to draw battle lines with your parents or family members or put on a helmet and go at them like a gladiator. No, but you've got to be mentally rigid and determined to say no. Because, look, the ones that really break my mind or my heart, that really, really break my heart are the ones where you live abroad. You have your own kids. You are married. You have your own wife. You have your own husband. And you are hell-bent on being a superman and superwoman to certain people back home at the detriment of your personal welfare here in the West, at the detriment of particularly your own children. How does that make sense? Imagine somebody, okay, check this out, right? Check this out. There was a lady that sent me an email. She works for Transport for London, TfL. Those that live in the UK would know the organization that I'm talking about, right? I think London Underground. And the sister says she earns more than £50,000 a year. Fair enough. She lives on the edge of London. You know, transportation is subsidized and all that. And she said, Phrankleen, my job is a good job. Many would kill to have that job. He said, because of a lot of financial pressure from back home particularly, he said, I am at the brink of losing my marriage. He said, I can barely set aside £300 a month. This is madness. And she's got 2 children. Of course. So this is why I say sometimes the whole pointless family palaver and all this complexity that we latch onto, so you bring these baggages into your relationships, they clearly have adverse effects. Let me just say, these stories are not gender specific. It affects both male and female, okay? So this is not like, oh, men, all right? This is not gender specific. Finance is a major cog in our relationships. Your finances. You've got to be on the same page as your partner. And if I'm, 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 if I'm I'm married, I got kids, and I'm selfishly being the objective word, just throwing all of my earnings on my parents and extended family at the detriment of my wife and kids. I think that's the height of wickedness, man. And if you are a female, and my daddy, my mommy, my brothers, and this, and then you cannot even build anything together, and then if your partner is saying, "Oh, babe, I'm a little low on cash. Can you help us pay the tax? I don't have that money." There was a gentleman that told me, check this out, right? That his wife was involved in a ghastly accident in this country. Check this out, right? And then, of course, thankfully she didn't die, right? She had to go for some physiotherapy sessions and stuff. But at the end of the process, because it was the fault of the guy, that ran into her car, the car was stationary. The long and short was the insurance company, went through the whole claims process. And this woman got paid roughly £25,000 in compensation. All right? Check this out. Thank you, Alonga Baby. I appreciate you for the super chat. She got paid about £25,000, right, for the car accident here in the UK. I don't know the full details, right? Her husband was out of work, struggling with money. Welcome to life. Life happens, right? Now, not that the man was entitled to his wife's money, but check this out. The wife lied to him that, she was getting a payout of £15,000. She took £10,000 of the money, fired it back home to her mom and dad because she had told them about the payout. They even taught her to lie to her husband. Don't let your husband know how much you're getting paid. This is the foolishness that some people indulge in. So they controlled her brain. She took £10,000 and split the money between mom, dad, and her siblings. She felt good about herself. She then told her husband here that, I only got compensated £15,000. I understand it's your money, but look at that. You are willing to go to any extent to be uber super deceptive to your partner because of sentiment. This is how people self-sabotage and absolutely leave cracks and destroy their relationships. So guess what? She then took money further from the remaining £15,000, called her brother, told her husband, I'm going to get my brothers to help me buy a parcel of land, blah, blah, blah. So the husband said he was asking her, are you sure? This. She kind of just like, don't worry about it. Don't get involved. It's me and my brothers. Me and my brothers. Me and my brothers. Me and my brothers. My brothers are going to do blah, 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 blah. Okay. Sent £5,000. They didn't buy jack. Then it became a battle. They even fleeced a total of about £7,000. Now watch this. They were struggling with bills in the household, and she wouldn't support her husband adequately. So about 15, nearly 20 grand of that money had gone to your family. All right? They cleaned you out. They didn't buy the land. They took the money. They took advantage. They did everything. Now, when she got duped, when they took her to the cleaners, guess who she ran to? Guess who she ran to? Guess. Guess who she ran to for help? Guess. I'll let you guess. Let me look at some of the comments. Who did she call for help? She went to her husband, cried to her husband, so the husband said, wait, so you got You got paid. You got paid £25,000 and you lied to me. That in itself left a major crack in the relationship. Do you see what I'm saying? This is how people invite unnecessary complexity into their relationships. The relationship became absolutely sabotaged. The brother sent me, I'm just giving you like a bonus story incorporated into this one. And the brother sent me this very lengthy email and he's still hurting. And he said, Franklin, I'm unable to gain closure because emotionally and mentally I am broken. I love this woman so dearly. And I couldn't believe that my wife would do that to me. Her family caught wind of the argument and they were actually telling her, he's only jealous because you helped your family. Now, when she's having problems in the marriage, you know what the parents did? They abandoned her. Said one day she called her mom telling her about marital issues, and the mom was like, oh, please, 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 look, I've got my own life here. I'm too elderly now. I don't have energy to deal with whatever the case may be. Deal with it with your husband. The mom cut the phone off. Do you see what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes a major or devastating situation for some people to learn, but sometimes you might not be able to recover from that devastating situation. Do you get what I'm saying? So to close on the brother's story that I was telling you, man. Imagine your own family, your own father saying, "Oh, you must build him your first, the first property you build must be for him and your mom if you want to do well in life. Oh, and if you go ahead and build the house, XYZ is going to happen to you negatively." You see that manipulation? You see how these people work? So some people, let me say this. It's not all doom and gloom, but from my understanding, a very minute number of people are very lucky. Some people are lucky that, oh, they have reliable dads, or there is that one sibling that you can really rely on. There is that one sibling that they will never do that to you. But those people that are genuinely kind-hearted, that will not fleece you, that will not try to subject you to emotional blackmail, the number of those people is very minute, very, very tiny. They are outnumbered. That's all I'm trying to say. I keep getting these stories. They come in different shapes and forms. But when you bring them all together, when, all of these stories, it tells you one thing. It's one of the most devastating issues that diasporans have to deal with. Let me look at what somebody's comment there. I saw. My question is, did these parents do the same thing for their own parents? I guess we'll never find out. But that's a good point, though. That's a good point. Who knows? Who knows if they did the same thing to their own parents? But my argument is, you see, these mental conditioning that have gone on for, God knows, generations, right? For donkey years. It's sabotaging so many. I'm telling you, man. How can you be one of 5 siblings? You manage to travel abroad, and you plus your own parents. That's pretty much 6 people. And then here you have 3 children plus your wife. That's 9 people. That's absolutely impossible. Plus yourself. 10. Financial burden. So I don't understand why people then act surprised when you are broke, when you are monetarily defeated and depleted, your pocket is dry. Your pocket is drier than Gandhi's feet. Of course. My case is similar. I'll call you. Bro, send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. David, right? We can set up a Zoom call, or I can bring you on a live stream and you can talk about your story, bro. Send me an email, man. I look forward to your email. It's absolutely impossible to cater to 10 people. Even if you are on £100,000 a year, $100,000, 10 people, fam. And they don't want you to say no. I mean, your children, your marriage, your wife, they get a pass. They get a pass, all right? The children, your own wife or your husband, they get a pass, all right? That's your own nuclear family. But I don't get it. Why is it that people can't say no? There is another one. There is another one that he has been oracle of the Bantu people. Thank you for the super chat. There's another one that told me this. He has been given an ultimatum to the end of 2022 by his parents that he must bring at least 2 of his siblings to the UK. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what, man? Come into my inbox, foodchannel1960@gmail.com. Send me your stories, man. I want to hear from you. This guy, his parents back home, they've basically they've threatened him. He's from the eastern part of Nigeria. They're Igbos by roots. And he said he went home and then they sat down, the elders, and they've told him this is someone who has done his best for the extended family and his siblings. And his parents then gave him an ultimatum to the end of 2022 at the very least that he must bring 2 of his siblings abroad. If he doesn't do that, so I asked him, I said, if you don't, so what's the repercussion for not doing that? Some so-called self-appointed family elders have said it will be castigated and ostracized from the family tree. He will be banished. They threatened him that they might place some kind of curse on him. Bro, you need to cut those people away faster than the speed of light. It's all mental conditioning. Imagine there's a brother who his father hasn't spoken to him in 3 years. Do you know why? Do you know what the bone of contention is? The father asked him to bring his younger sister from Nigeria to the UK to come for a master's degree program so that she can use that as a means. You get what I'm saying? To get into the UK. And the father equally wants him to fund the sister's education. And the dude said, Dad, I haven't got money to pay for a master's degree. I can't afford it. And he was called the letter B word, BASTARD, and several other adjectives in the book, because he said no. So the father he said, Mom, he's just voiceless. She's bullied. Some of these women are subjected to years of emotional and physical abuse themselves. You know, they might be your moms, they might be your aunties, but a lot of them, the guy is clearly, the man is clearly a dictator, and the moms can't do jack about it. So mom has no choice than to support the dad. So the dad said, if you are not prepared to bring your sister to the UK so that she too can establish, no, they're not trying to get your sister to establish. They want to bully you to bring her so that she can get into the UK system so that they can also have her as an avenue to demand the hard currency, the pound sterling. All of this is a careful orchestration of their own selfish ulterior motives, if that makes sense. It's all a plan. It's not because they are so interested. So if you don't bring your own sister to the UK, your own father stopped speaking to you for 3 years. For me, great. No problems. Great. So he said there is ongoing pressure from extended family members. They're asking him to go to his father to go beg for forgiveness and blessings. Blessings. It's the control mechanism. It's absolutely staggering. I'm an adult. My father from miles away wants to control my finances in the UK, wants to dictate to me in a narcissistic format, wants to tell me where the wind blows from, imposes on me that I must bring my sibling abroad, 2 of my siblings. If I don't, I'm going to get ostracized. Sir, I have one question. Do you mind if I attach a lovely pink ribbon to the scissors so I can give it to you and I can present it in a nice container so that you can use it to cut me very quickly from the family structure? Because I cannot wait, sir. Sir, what kind of color would you like the scissors to come in? In a cockroach brown or in a mauve? Or would you like it in pink color, sir? So that you can... Would you like the scissors in a purple color? Would you like it in white color? Or maybe blood red, since you're raging, so you can cut me out of that family tree faster than the speed of light? Oh, would you like me to help you hold the rope attaching me to the family tree so you can cut me very quickly? You know what I'm saying? You gotta learn to say no. That's all I'm talking about, man. People are scared that, oh, if I say no, if I put a stop to this, you know, it's all lies, man. There's a dude. Dom's lunch. Thank you for the super chat, man. There's a dude, man, at the peak of the final one, and I'll wrap up. At the peak of the first, lockdown, when we got into the first lockdown, right? The brother said he had told his dad and mom that, hey, due to the impact of the pandemic, I've lost my hours at work. I think it was furloughed, and 80% of his earnings. It was quite challenging, as it is globally for millions of people, right? And he told his mom and dad that, hey, I'm struggling money wise because of the impact of the pandemic and all that stuff. So I used to give you guys £350 a month. The £350 a month, I was actually just, struggling to do that monthly. But given the ongoing global pandemic and the impact on my finances and stuff, I'm going to only be able to give you £100 for now because I've got my responsibilities here, and then wages have reduced a bit. Oh my Lord. They threw the biggest tantrums. He said he could imagine them over the phone, both his parents on the floor of their living room, crying like a little child in a chocolate store, like when your mom and dad says don't touch, and then you throw yourself on the floor. The dads, they just went absolutely ballistic. You should be ashamed of yourself. Oh, this and this and this. You're treating us like beggars. How? These are some of the hurtful things that these people say. Why are you so insensitive and selfish? I'm telling you, as your son, that I am genuinely struggling based on the impact of the ongoing pandemic that has affected everybody. You turn around and call me selfish. I can give you £100 for now. Oh, you don't want that. So he asked me, he was telling me these stories. And I said, bro, what would Phrankleen do? He said, Phrankleen, what would you do? I'm a reasonable guy and I keep it 100. What would I do in that scenario? I don't do this. It's just my nature. If I tell you as my parents that, hey, yo, I'm struggling, okay? This is what I can afford. And then I carry on giving you what I can afford. And then every month when I give you the £100, you subject me to mudslinging, name calling, emotional abuse. I'm just gonna cut off the £100 because it's the most reasonable thing to do. If I gave you £100 that I can afford, and then you invoke wrath, verbal wrath on me, truckload of insult and name calling, it's just not logical for me to carry on giving it to you because you are clearly not appreciative. You're going to carry on subjecting me to emotional abuse, which is unhealthy for me. So, might as well keep my £100 in my back pocket. My £100 make big pan last in the freezer and beating my but you know what I'm saying? Hey. Then if you tell them I have struggles, they say we'll pray for you. Based on the current exchange rate to Nigeria, for example, based on the current exchange rate, £100 is about 60,000 naira. If that's what someone can give you, you should be grateful. I know people who live abroad. Some people can't even boast of 3 pairs of shoes. Some can't boast of 3 pairs of shoes. Their children can't even boast of 3 pairs of shoes. Apart from the school shoes that they wear to school on Monday to Friday, they can't, as children, I'm talking basic stuff here. I'm not even talking about owning a PS5 or PS4 or an Xbox. I'm talking basic stuff. Their children could barely have decent clothing, little kids, and they are busy shelling money home, and you have the audacity to call them names and tell them that they are never to do well types. Wow. And even you as a fully grown adult, you know that you are being subjected to this devious cycle. And then you just carry on want to impress people. You're the one planning your own demise. That's the root cause of your problems. Why do you keep doing that to yourself? Just say no. It's as simple as that. They don't care how you're suffering in the UK because we suffer and don't complain. Oh my God. The outgoings in the West, the monthly outgoings, it doesn't even matter. It's not limited to the UK. It's the same in the US. I remember a few years ago when I went to America on holiday, right? So I went to DC, Washington, DC for a couple of nights. And I remember one of my childhood friends who lives in the heart of DC, right? Dude lives in an apartment in the heart of DC. He lives in an apartment where the monthly rent for that apartment was $3,000. My jaw was on the floor. These rooms are just box rooms, but because of course it's a hot spot. It's like living in central London. It's bloody expensive. So he couldn't cope because he had lost the job and got another job that was paying less. He couldn't cope. He couldn't afford to pay 3,000. So I said to him, I said, dude, why are you doing this to yourself? Why do you need to live in the heart of DC? Like, you haven't got that type of bread. And then he had to get a white dude that was cohabiting with him, right? So that they could split the bills. And then, whilst I was in the States, he was already planning to move from DC to North Carolina because it's a lot cheaper to live in North Carolina. That sort of apartment in North Carolina might be $600-700 a month. He was moving all the way to North Carolina. And this is my point. Whilst this brother was struggling to stay afloat, he had 3 jobs. I remember when he took me somewhere in DC to some Chinese restaurant. He couldn't even sustain a 30 minutes conversation with me, man. I was close to tears. Dude just sat there and he was too tired. He had 3 jobs. And guess what? He's taking care of 4 people back home. Why? Look at this one. Look at this one. A friend of mine requested 5 million naira from me because I'm abroad. Wow. I said no. He told me I'm very useless. I blocked him straight up. How many people abroad have 5 million naira, the equivalent of 5 million naira in their savings? The average savings in the UK, I'm not sure if you know, the average household savings, this is your disposable income here in the UK. The average savings is about, according to the government records, if I'm correct, I think it's about £500. Of course, there are people who have a lot more than that. There are people with rewarding jobs. But when you look at the bigger picture, those numbers are minute. The average savings is about £500. Imagine somebody having the audacity to ask you for 5 million naira. Why? Just because you live abroad. Yeah. I get asked all the time, but I can't keep, what's that? I can't send in like before. Their response isn't nice. I don't understand why some people in Africa feel like they're entitled to money from their family abroad. Again, it's a very toxic cycle that's been deeply ingrained and deeply rooted, that's been in the system. It's been embedded into people's minds, and that toxicity, unfortunately, is widely spread. Do you know what I mean? And an enabler, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, an enabler of that ugly perception of the life abroad, the enabler of that type of mindset is the fact that there's a lot of diasporans. When they do go home on holiday, when they travel back home, you go on a flex. You give a false impression of yourself. So, let's be bloody honest. If you take an iPhone 12 on a monthly contract here in the West, you're paying for that on a monthly contract. You and I know we live abroad. But when you go on a flex back home, say to Nigeria on holiday, you land in Lagos. You're amongst family and friends now. And you're flexing, right? Like you've got it like that. So the average guy back home, your family members, they are sizing you up. They are looking at your hoodie, your shirt, your Armanis, your Pradas, your Gucci's. They're looking at everything. Your ensemble, they're looking at everything. So you pick your call, you got your iPhone 12s. I'm not saying don't use your iPhone 12s, but when they ask you about your phones. Oh, yeah. I just bought it, man. You know, I just bought it from the phone shop before coming, man. I paid cash down, man. You and I know that your black behind is paying for that phone contract. Maybe you're paying £50 or £40 monthly. You and I know your black behind cannot affordably pay for that iPhone 12 on a cash down basis. But you get home and then you're flexing and then you're telling them, oh yeah, that's nothing, man. So they're not stupid though. They go online. They look at the cash in dollars or in pounds for the iPhone 12. So they're looking at you like, God damn. That could in itself buy a plot of land. Like, this guy is got it like that. Some of you even make unbelievable amounts of efforts to buy fake Gucci's because you can't afford the real Gucci because it's bloody expensive, right? You make efforts to buy the fake Gucci bag, the fake Fendi's, right? Because it's just, oh man, this is people who are mentally warped. You want them to know that you're wearing Gucci. So they look at the hood or the shirt you're putting on, and then they think, that's a £500 shirt. The fake Louis belt. Because the real Louis, you and I know that you can't afford to buy it. You cannot afford that lifestyle. But because you want to go home in December for 2 weeks, you're getting dressed, your messenger bag says Emporio Armani. Your shirt today says Yves Saint Laurent. They're looking at you like, wow, this dude is a baller. Right? Your phone case, which is actually a fake phone case, is saying Chanel. They're looking at you like, this dude is caked up. 9 out of 10 times, you sit in the midst of people who are beaten down by poverty. They're your family members now, right? So, even if your mom and dad are elderly, they're not technical geeks, right? They're not that inclined. They don't know about iPhones and stuff. Your younger brothers, your siblings, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, they're going to tell your parents, they're going to tell their moms, your aunties, their uncles, they're going to point at your phone like, hey, yo, that's a 700,000 naira phone. That phone is ₦1 million. That phone is 1.2 million. That mobile phone is 850,000. 850,000 in certain places in Nigeria will buy you a plot of land right now. They're gonna look at your fake Gucci bag, the grade A fake Gucci bag that you've taken on for a flex. They're gonna say, Dad, that handbag is $1,000. They're gonna look at your Fendi's. They're gonna look at your £400 belt. They're gonna have an opinion. So if you're moving mad and moving crazy, stop in your track. I've got a 1300 iPad Pro a while ago for £23 a month. I don't have bags of cash. Oh, you goddamn right. But you know what? When you go home on holiday, you have all your gadgets. Now, you and I know 1,300, an iPad that's worth £1,300. Bro, change that to Naira if you're from Nigeria. That's a whole lot of money. So if you're sat there, you're flexing, they're looking at everything about you like, man, you become a prime target. I'm not saying it's it's a crime to wear labels and stuff, but you got to be watchful of how you move, what you are displaying in front of these people, the flex you are on, what you put on social media. They hijack those things. They build a pseudo profile about you that you've got it like that. And in fact, all of that breeds envy. It breeds jealousy. It breeds toxicity. So they are always constantly planning and scheming to fleece you. So guess what? When they bring their crazy demands and you're like, yo, I haven't got any money, I'm broke. I can afford it, man. Hey, I can afford it. I don't have that type of money. How much do you think I'm earning in England or in America? And then they'd be like, really? Really? And you become a prime target. Let me see that. People should never perpetrate the fraud, which means to don't pretend to have more than what you actually have. Of course, anointed prayers. I love that. Thank you. If you're working as a security guard, I'm saying that as an example. You're earning 10 or 12 pounds an hour. Why would you go home on a 2 weeks holiday and then you go and then you sit down amongst friends and families, you start blabbing about, oh, I'm the manager of this company in central London. I have about 26 employees that I'm controlling. I control the security department that controls the office of the prime minister. That's where they put me. And then your parents are falsely shouting, praise the Lord. They think their son is prospering in the UK. Meanwhile, you're sat there just disseminating nothing but falsehood to try to put yourself on pedestal, and you know that you have to work those extra shifts to even buy your flight ticket. The reason I'm talking about this is how the vicious cycle is created. Oh, fam, they're gonna come after you tooth and nail. They will come after you to fleece you. And there is nothing you can ever say, because what tends to happen is once you flex, and show them this much, they have a stereotypically generated perception of you. They have a fixated mindset. People have meetings behind you based on assumptions, based on the images you've helped to create, that you've got it like this. And just maybe you've got it like this. So they are hell-bent on siphoning you, and they will go to any extent. And then in the worst case scenario, that's why people get, obliterated. And I'm not trying to justify any of those toxic actions. Nobody's life deserves to be cut short all because they leave abroad. But you've got to be careful about what you put out there about yourself, about the so-called flex. In palliative pink. That's all I'm saying. There was a time, hit the like button, please. There was a time when I went to Nigeria, I would never forget this, right? A guy who was one of my childhood friends that live in this country had in fact lied to his parents that he works for the security company that controls all the banks in central London. What kind of lie is this? And I remember he had asked me at the time to just stop over during his mom's birthday just to say hello to them. So I was in Nigeria, I went to the mom's house to say hello. And all his aunties and uncles were sat down, and the mom was like, oh, my son controls all the banks in London. And I'm like, my goodness, this dude, bruv. Imagine me standing there and trying to expose the lies. I couldn't even, they would say maybe I'm just a hater. And I'm like, whoa, no way. And the guy, guess what? He works in Top Man. Top Man is a high street retailer, clothing store. That's not to put him down. He works in a clothing store in the heart of London. The Top Man on Oxford Street in central London, that's where he works. You lie to your parents back home. I control all the security department. I control the white people. There's about 40-something white people under me that I'm controlling. You're a liar. The only thing you're controlling is the key to your door in your house. So what do you think is going to happen to the mindset of those family members back home? They see you like that. So when they pound you to death with their crazy demands, you get angry. Ha! Lastly, there was a case of this brother who he had flexed to his family back home. He told them that he lives in a 4-bedroom house in London. He lives in Knightsbridge. If you live in the UK, Knightsbridge, highbrow area, bloody expensive, right? He had blown things out of proportion. He just gave, a fraudulent representation of himself. I'm this big, I'm this, that. I am, I live by myself in a 4-bedroom house. I have my cleaners are white people. I'm driving this car. It was all lies. Guess what? So one of his siblings and her boyfriend got visitor's visa to come to the UK. So they got to the UK as a surprise. They didn't tell him. So they got to London and then they rang him. She rang her older brother like, bro, guess what? Guess who is calling? I'm in the UK, bro. I mean, normally I should be happy. Like, what? Like, my younger sister is in the UK. Like, where are you? When did you? Whoa! You didn't tell me you got a visa. My man just froze. You're in the UK. I said, yeah. I'm here with my boyfriend. Bro, where is your address? We are coming to see you tomorrow. My man lives in a shared house. He lives in a shared house and he's renting just one room. He works as a caregiver. Again, this is no disrespect to anybody that does that job for a living. This is not it's not disparaging comment. I'm just saying, imagine you are told your parents, your family back home, you live in Knightsbridge, liar. You live somewhere in Southeast London in a shared house. He's renting just one room. Multiple people use the same bathroom. You share the toilets and bathroom with other tenants. Big deal. It's very common abroad. Because why? Particularly in places like London, it's very expensive for a lot of people to live in a self-contained apartment because it's bloody expensive. Do you get what I'm saying? But because of shame, this brother would not pick his sister's, bro, give me your address. He switched off his phone out of shame. So eventually, the younger sister got through to one of his friends that also live here in London. So the friend, which I believe the friend has ulterior motive, the friend went to the younger sister and her boyfriend, picked them up in his car, and took them to her brother's house. They showed up unannounced, and she came in, bro, I was calling you for like 2 days. Your phone has been off. And they found out that the big brother lives in the shared house. Do you see what I'm saying? So imagine your sibling seeing that. She's standing by the door with a boyfriend in your 4x4 bedroom that you're not even sleeping on a double bed because you're sleeping in the smallest room that you can afford. I cannot knock a man for sleeping in the room that he can afford. But do you see? Imagine how disappointing and embarrassing that will be. And then you start to come up with this embarrassing conversation on the spot. Well, this is London, things are this country. Nobody in the UK can live in a self-contained house. Everybody lives. Oh yeah, will you keep quiet? Just talk about yourself, bro. For the rest of their stay, he avoided them. He was working back to back. He doesn't even have enough money to host them. So they took the story back home. And that story spread like wildfire. That's facts, bro. That's facts. So that's why am I saying this? That's why don't blow yourself out of proportion, man. You're never going to find me trying to impress anybody, trying to say I am this big, I am that big. It's going to come full circle to bite you in the bum. The best you can ever be is be yourself. If you tell a family back home, hey, yo, I can only afford to give you £50. That's it. Hey, yo, I've been giving you money for the past few months. I'm afraid I'm going to have to put it on hold because I've got personal goals. Let them throw tantrums. Let them get angry. You got to learn to say no. That's me done, man. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate your time this evening. It's your boy, Phrankleen. Thank you for the donations. If you want to support me, #Phrankleen, Cash App, via PayPal, and or join my channel membership. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to like the video. Send me your stories to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. And yeah, that's it on today's story time, man. Let's keep the conversation going on below. Akin, Common Sense Sisters, Rita, Johnny, and everybody else involved. Mrs. EXE, Mama's Business, man. Thank you. Have a fantastic week ahead, and I'll catch you in the next one, man. Thank you. Salute. Bye.